welcome to the 153rd episode of the Korea podcast. I'm your host Jack, located in Ulsan, South Korea. Today is the 11th of April, and boy oh boy, have I got some news. It's been a couple of weeks since I held a podcast officially, because just the last 2 weeks it just, didn't feel right. Didn't feel it, so I didn't run a podcast. But back today, feeling a little better. The headlines, as mentioned, no more PCR tests, Will Smith slapping, and a bunch of other stuff that is actually Korea related will be on the menu today, tonight, for tonight. So make sure to stick around till the very end. If this is your first time to the Live in Korea, to the Korea podcast, make sure to smash up the like, stick around. I cover news from around South Korea, and if you're living and working in South Korea, then this may be of some interest to you. If you're not, then this may be definitely of some interest to you if you are interested in South Korea and South Korea related things. So without further ado's, actually, in the tradition of my goodness, what are we having here? Okay. Music troubles. Just gonna make sure that the sound is okay. What are we having here? Oh yeah, okay. Sound is good. Pictures looking also pretty nifty. Look at that, very clear. Very nice reception on my phoneage. Very happy. Alrighty. Let's have a look at all the beautiful pictures of parking failures in South Korea. We're gonna start off with this beautiful picture, man. This is a goodie. This is a goodie one, man. Check it out. I have no idea what's going on here. This is just insanity. But it reminds me of, where the heck, this little nifty thing. That's what this reminds me of. See? Look at that. Yeah, looks familiar. It's a game that somebody's running. That's what's happening here. Yeah. No idea where this picture was taken, but it's brilliant. What I need to do is, there we go. Okay, here we go. Next one. This doozy, man. This is the same corner that I keep stumbling across time and time again. And it's just, Koreans can't handle corners, man. This is not the first time, not the last time. Literally within the same day, I think there was like 2 or 3 cars parked exactly the same way. Don't know what this is, but sidewalk schmidewalk. Who needs sidewalks? And you got a Kia, right? Kia, wouldn't want to be. Look, another Kia also parked on not only sidewalk, but like right across the crosswalk. That's also fantastic. Elastic. This is very common. What's not common, I don't know if this car next to it is parked, the whitey right there. Is it parked? I don't think it's parked. But I mean, it's a yellow line, so where is this guy supposed to park, man? Over it? No, you park on the sidewalk so you don't cross the yellow line, and hopefully nobody notices, right? No idea what's going on here. How does anybody move in any way? Beyond me. Another Kia. Again, this is a corner. Can you see that? Nicely sticking out. I wonder if the guy's ass is sticking over into the road right here. Possibly, quite possibly so, because what else would you expect, right? Is that the same one? Yeah. Okay, that's the next one. I assume this van, there's a curb right there. Sidewalk, so this guy is like parked way into the road. Must not be a very busy one. This is awesome. This guy's got a 4x4, you can't park anywhere else, there's no space. He found himself a nice tight little niche. Booyah! Why the heck not? Why not? I tell you. If you got the means, you find the... You find the way. Why wouldn't you do it? Why wouldn't you, right? The same corner, the same corner I just showed you a little while ago. I think this is the same day, just a couple of hours later. Massive truck, or it's a van parked. This is what it looks like. Meri, what is it? Nustamji. Pangsugongsa. I have no idea what that is. I don't know what they're selling. But funny enough, right here, this building, this is a government building. This is the city village office right here, man. So and people park here all the time. There is a red line, there is a little fire hydrant, as you saw, and I'm sure Korea's got regulations on parking within a certain distance of a fire hydrant, and it's right here. So that's nicely blocked. So fantastic. Well done, well done. Bravo, everybody. Bravo on your parking strategies. Another corner, different area, but it's also the same corner. This guy, I don't know. Somebody made a comment on this. These are from the failed parking in South Korea group, yeah. And it's been a couple of weeks, so it built up nicely. There's a bunch of fantastic pictures. This guy, the comment on this picture was that there's probably a camera. So apparently somebody has noticed that people park below the camera, so that the camera doesn't actually shoot the vehicle that's parked underneath it, because they kind of, you know, scour the surrounding area and while the car is parked underneath. But I mean, with 360-degree angles now these days, I don't know. Either way, there was no camera above it. It's just a-hole parking. Yep. This I just found now. There was a video attached to it, and even my daughter came up behind me, looked at it, and said, "How did he get in there?" I have no idea. I assume this guy like jumped the curb here and just basically bounced his way along down. Or were they trying to like get in here? I have no idea. What in the name? Scooter problem. I don't know. Why is everybody on to the scooters, man? Ever since the scooters came into existence in South Korea, I personally have been enjoying having access to them. And for a little while, they were like a bliss in disguise here in Ulsan, until the time when everything disappeared. Now even the Lime scooters that were first ones to grace the beautiful streets of the city of Ulsan, even those are gone. And the only one that's left now is Swing. And I have no access to that damn thing because Korea makes it impossible for foreigners to register with anything. Lime scooters were very accessible for the longest time. As a foreigner, all you needed to do to have is a driver's license, which I did, and I registered. And then I was able to register with, there was another orange one. I wasn't able to register with them. I messaged them, they made it easier, they registered for me, and then they blocked it all, and now that scooter is gone as well. Alpaca, that was it, and that one's gone now as well. So basically I have no access to scooters right now because it just ain't happening. Anyway, rant over. I don't know why everybody's, you know, so upset about scooters. I don't get it. Look at this guy. Forget sidewalks or crosswalk. Who needs those when you get a car? A black car. A black car is the car of cars. Parking. Yep, very meticulously done. I guess he was lining up with the car, not so much with the curb here. Oh well, can't blame him. Can't blame the person who's trying to, you know, fit in. Ben is here. That first pic looked like the aftermath of a flooded apartment complex parking area following a typhoon. Once saw something similar. Is that right? Huh. Good point. Except this is on top of a. This is the top of a building, so it's not the residue of a flooded area. This is the aftermath of everybody trying to rush to an exit. So I think the cars that are parked, these are the parked cars. The ones that are like perpendicular to the parking spots are actually the ones that are trying to squeeze their way into the lines of cars leaving the area. That's what it is. This is the exit right here. There's a couple of guys probably directing traffic, and everybody's trying to squeeze in. You've got like one line coming in here, another line, second, third. This is fourth one. Fourth, and then these guys here. So basically 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 rows of cars trying to squeeze their way into one lane, which is not very uncommon. It's pretty common in South Korea, particularly when it comes to highways during rush hour. That's pretty common. I remember distinctly one time my brother, oh, you know, I was looking, shoot. Here it is. Okay, so 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 lines of cars trying to squeeze into one exit, yeah. And so the cars standing here are the ones parked, and everybody else is trying to make their way into the exit. Many years ago when I was driving, I was reminded by my brother-in-law that while I was trying to let people, move without being too pushy and trying not to push my way into the traffic, he gently reminded me that this isn't Canada. I don't need to be so polite when I'm driving. And apparently, yes. An acquaintance of mine was posting a bunch of videos of his driving experiences in South Korea, and man, oh man, the close calls that he's having, there are many of those. Alrighty, so we're moving on to our regularly expected entertainment section. We're gonna start off. I know that the headline is about PCR, but I just have to start with this and kind of put this debate to rest, although maybe it has put itself, the Will Smith debate, or discussion rather. Will Smith gets 10-year Oscars ban over Chris Rock slap. So for all those who, were hating on Will Smith for doing what he did, which I still think has been staged or was staged in some way, and Chris Rock benefited from that, man. He's making heaps of cash. He sold out a lot of his tickets, I think, tenfold in price, and he's doing fine. But Will Smith has been banned from the Oscars. So there you go. There you go. I hope some of you are happy over that outcome. All right. So PCR tests to be waived for COVID recovered foreigners. It's never just a freebie. So there's a catch. So foreigners living in Korea who had COVID-19 will no longer have to submit a negative PCR test when they return from a trip abroad. So if you have had COVID-19 in South Korea and you choose to travel abroad, when you come back, you don't need to submit a negative PCR test. However, if you've never had COVID-19 here in South Korea and you travel abroad, you will still need to, you will still be required to submit a PCR test prior to departure, I guess, or prior to arrival. So you need to get it prior to departing the country of wherever the heck you went to travel to. And so this rule started today on April the 11th. Long term, so we'll be asked to submit an alien registration card, a permanent residency card, or certificate of domestic residence in Korea, and a notice of isolation from when they were sick to be exempted. So in Korea, when you're sick, you need to notify the health authorities, and you get a little messaging system going on, and you get a certificate. I have mine somewhere on my phone, but I don't know where it is. In any case, if you have that, then that's probably what you need to bring to immigration, to show to immigration when you depart, when you arrive. So make sure you have that sucker. Maybe save it in your photos or something like that. Don't lose your phone, because then you're screwed. Maybe you could print it out. Print it, put it in your passport, and you're golden. Golden, baby. Right, so things here are changing slowly. Things are kind of relaxing. Yeah, post-Omicron strategy is in the works, yo. Korea will announce a post-Omicron strategy this week following a decline in COVID-19 cases. According to the Central Disease and Safety Countermeasure Headquarters Sunday, the government post-Omicron strategy, along with adjustments to social distancing measures this week. So they're changing, that stuff and this stuff, and there are fewer. I think shops are being open longer until 11 o'clock. More people are able to stay together. Priority groups for COVID-19 testing, such as people 60 and older, close contacts, can still get PCR tests at public health centers. The government is considering lowering the infectious disease level of COVID-19, which is currently classified as a Class 1 disease, the highest and most dangerous level, to Class 2, along with tuberculosis, chickenpox, and measles. So apparently right now COVID is deemed more serious, more deadly than all of these mentioned here. The downgrade is expected to be made as early as the end of this month. A downgrade of COVID-19 could reduce the current mandatory 7-day quarantine period or even lift it completely. All patients with class 1 infectious disease need to quarantine, while only 11 diseases under class 2, including tuberculosis, measles, and cholera, are subject to isolation. Expenses for COVID-19 treatment may no longer be covered by the government if the quarantine mandate is lifted. The government pays treatment expenses only for diseases requiring isolation. So there you go. So once the mandates are lifted and you still happen to have corona and need to be isolated, you're covering those expenses yourself. Which I don't understand, because I think, as far as I understood, you had to pay the expenses anyway by yourself. Ben is asking a question. What's Ben's question here? Do foreigners return from a trip abroad still have to quarantine or self-isolate? Hope that answered your question right here. Did it? Let me know if this answered. I think I just read that, right? A downgrade of COVID-19 could reduce the current mandatory 7-day quarantine period. So if you are a foreigner returning from a trip abroad and you have had history of COVID, then you don't need a PCR test and you don't need a quarantine. You don't need to quarantine anymore if you're vaccinated. If you're not vaccinated, you may still need to undergo... that's a good question. Let's see. People who suspect the symptoms COVID-19 can go to designated respiratory clinic. Yeah. I don't know. I assume it. So it was that if you were vaccinated, you didn't need to undergo a quarantine. If you were not vaxxed, then you still, I guess, were required to undergo a quarantine, but now no need for PCR tests if you had COVID. Good question about the quarantine. Not sure. What else is happening on that area? South Korea begins discussion on ending restrictions as cases fall, which is good. Daily cases continue to drop below 100,000 for first time in 7 weeks. South Korean government said Monday that discussion on scrapping COVID-19 restrictions have begun as the Omicron wave continues to recede. And I guess, as the other article said, by the end of this month, they'll be deciding on whether to bump it down to a level 2, to a class 2 threat. As COVID-19 figures have trended downward, expectations are growing that the government may put an end to the existing social distancing measures expiring Sunday. 10-person limits, private gatherings. Government is likely to make a related announcement. COVID response meeting on Friday. This article is from today, so we're looking to Friday to hear more from the Gov on what's going to happen. Sit and wait, peeps, sit and wait. But things are, like I said, they're relaxing. A bunch of, I think, governments across the globe. Wasn't that you, Ben, who said that England has lifted the mandates for masks? And I heard as well that Lufthansa or some other airline, or maybe it was British Airways, lifted the mandates for masks on the airlines a while back, a month ago or so. So, yeah, Samsung is letting people go back to work as well. Pedestrians walk by the Samsung Electronics headquarters in Socho District Southern. So Monday, Samsung Electronics announced Monday that it would bring its employees back to the office from that day, gradually restarting in-person operations. So it's beginning to be, en masse exit from the COVID restrictions to normalization of living, which is good, because I think once companies are doing this, then I think we can expect slowly things to begin to normalize, and I think it's about time the government to stop freaking throwing money around. Especially now with the recession and everything going haywire, prices going haywire. Ben says, should be mentioned that Korea, like China, also has a zero COVID policy. It's just that there are 5 zeros in the daily case count. Yeah, exactly. In case you're wondering, so the cherry blossom has just passed. I guess if you're up in Seoul, if you're further up north, then you may be catching the cherry blossom season a little bit later. We basically here in Ulsan, it's past, man. Most of the cherry blossoms, or any blossoms, I guess mostly cherry blossoms, magnolia blossoms have dropped. They're all gone. So yeah, so you know that I saw a discussion on discussion. It was a topic talk about how meaningful the cherry blossoms are, and people were saying that they don't care. Because who cares? Because crowds go nuts, and it's really insane. It's a crazy season to be during in South Korea. Last weekend I was trying to go visit the Banff Film Festival that takes place annually every year near Shimbulsan here in Ulsan in the Yeongnam Alps. And unfortunately, the entrance to that area takes you past Jakchenjong, which is one of the most popular areas for cherry blossoms. It's really nice, but it's a complete madhouse. We went there on Saturday afternoon, I think around 2 o'clock, and upon entering Onyang, which is a smaller town outside the city here, literally a ride that normally takes about 5 to 10 minutes took us 30 minutes, and I never bothered turning into the street that would take us up the mountain, because that would have taken us another 2 hours or so. So I just continued going straight down the highway into Busan, which may or may not have been the greatest of ideas. We spent 2 more hours driving to Busan, and Haeundae was kind of a madhouse as well. It wasn't easy to find parking spot, but we ended up at Haeundae Beach, which was very nice. Some very nice people, nice crowds, not too crowded, but you know, it was nice to be out on the beach on a sunny day. Anyway, the point of all this was that apparently, while for the most part, cherry blossoms have been imported to South Korea. So when Korea was being occupied by the Japanese forces over the years of colonization, some of the good things that Japan did, I guess, questionably few, I guess, bringing cherry blossoms to South Korea. But now it seems like Korea is crossbreeding cherry blossoms and developing its own varieties. So there's a king cherry trees of Korea replicated with cloning science. Among a variety of Korean cherry blossom trees, one of the most spectacular is the king cherry tree that uniquely grows naturally in Korea. In April each year, king cherry blossoms bloom like popcorn from bare branches before the leaves burst out of the buds. So I guess in an attempt to leave some of the past behind, Korea is developing its cross-pollinating, cloning its own cherry blossoms, and who knows, over the next few years, here's upon coming to an ancient forest of king cherry trees in Jeju Island, Halasan, 1908, French botanist and Catholic priest Father Emile Joseph sent samples of the Korean king cherry tree to his colleagues in Japan, and the German researcher. Oh, okay, so apparently, well, that is how the king cherry tree was scientifically named Prunus yendis varnodiflora. And evolutionary biology, hybridization is part of the process, blah blah blah. King cherry tree entered the American English lexicon. Okay, so maybe this was a little bit older. Pre-colonization. In any case, if you ever wonder, I have no idea what they look like. Find out what the king cherry blossom trees are, and they are 100% Korea grown cherry blossoms for the next season. If you're curious to know, that's what you're looking for. There you go. Just a little tidbit if you didn't know. Question from Ben: where do you stand on the whole cherry blossoms don't have any smell debate? I maintain they do, even if it's only a mild aroma. Good question. Honestly, I haven't noticed an aroma. The only one that I've noticed every year around our Hagwon, I think, are it's a lily bush or some kind of bush. I don't know, but it's got such a potent aroma. It defeats any other aroma that comes out of any flower that may be in the neighborhood. Honestly, I don't know. I assume that cherry blossoms must have some aroma because, you know, bugs and birds are attracted to them, and it can't just be a visual stimuli, man. It's got to be other factors that attract the, you know, the insects and the birds. There's more than just meets the eye. Get it? You know. What else is happening? Noel gets jail time. For those, okay, back in 2005, when I first came to Korea, the rebellion of the expat community was enlarged. People were riding motorcycles and scooters and all kinds of two-wheeled vehicles and possibly even four-wheeled vehicles without proper licensing. And the reason why most people didn't have licenses back then in 2005, 2006, 2007 and 8 all the way up until probably 10 or 2011 was that licensing was it was something the Korean police forces couldn't deal with. Korea did not have any arrangements with countries from which all the hordes of expats were coming from, and there was no way for Korean police officers to actually check the validity of these foreign licenses or even give tickets to these people that may or may not, you know how to repay them. And back then, I guess there was no system to have under which foreigners could register their licenses or carry their licenses over. And so most of us drove around on motorcycles without licenses, and after having been stopped by police on several occasions and basically let go after having been told not to ride motorcycles under the influence of alcohol, nothing ever happened. But if you are under the impression that you still can travel without a driver's license in your possession, stop right there. So back home, if you are driving a car and you don't have a license on you, that's an automatic ticket if you get pulled over and checked for a license. In Korea, I wasn't sure on the law to that extent, but apparently, and maybe that's just my naive or dumb, lifestyle, but apparently this dude who's a rapper, he doesn't look much like a rapper, man. I didn't even know he's a dude. Anyway, on September 18th last year, and so the rapper was charged for driving without a license. Then he was also got into an altercation with an officer who requested a blood alcohol test. At the time, Jang was on probation for a drunk driving offense. He was sentenced to 18 months in jail with 2 years probation in 2019 for causing a car accident while intoxicated. Jang falsely claimed that his acquaintance was the person driving. Anyway, so the point of this is that you need a driver's license. You need to have it on you when you drive. Yeah. This is an interesting read. Yoon wants to clear confusion on Korean ages. Finally. See? This is the new president, right? He's doing something. So, to all Koreans out there, you may soon find yourself to be a year younger. You've entered a time machine that will permit you to become younger. Rejoice! President-elect Yoon Suk-yeol's transition team said Monday that it plans to change the way Korean count ages, which generally adds at least a year to the international way of counting. Now, in Korea, usually Koreans add about two years to their age count. Basically, when you're at the time of birth, you're 1 year old. So I guess people count the whole incubation period, and then in order to satisfy the need for school education, if the kids are born closer to December, then they are pushed a year ahead, and so which makes them an additional year older. So sometimes people who are actually 10 become 12 which is quite confusing. I think most expats don't understand the whole thing, the newer expats at least. And it's I guess when it comes to, you know, when you talk to Koreans, a lot of Koreans who now speak Korean, there's always this like, oh, is this a Korean age or the regular age or the Western age, you know? So I guess they're looking at maybe getting rid of that fiasco, that confusion, and who knows? Yeah, all Koreans may be a year younger. Korea will be a year younger as a result. Very nice. Yeah, so this is another article. When was this published? I have no idea. I think it's let's see. Yeah, just today. The Transition Committee for President-elect June. Yes. Zelensky tells Assembly Korea must do much more. Ben says there's no social advantage to Koreans losing a year in age. Whole-scale drop in seniority all around. Yeah, no, I mean, everybody would become younger. So it's not like some people would be younger and others not. It would be... Although, well, no, technically, those who have been bumped a year ahead because of the whole schooling system would now lose 2 years. So now all of a sudden the seniors may find themselves to be equal, and they might get their shit beaten out for having caused discomfort to their younger colleagues, which now will be the same age as them. So, oh well. Zelensky tells Assembly Korea must do much more. This is the president of the Ukraine, and I don't exactly understand why, but it feels a little pushy. Ukrainian President Volodymyr Zelensky called on Korea to send key military assets that might turn the tide in Ukraine's defense against Russia's invasion. As much as I am against, war and all that stuff, I don't know if Korea should really get involved into in it as much as this suggests. Korea has the airplanes and tanks that we need today to fight off Russia, said Zelensky in a virtual address to the National Assembly Monday. Particularly since Russia is supported by China in some way or form, and China is supported by North Korea, and North Korea just so happens to be bordering right here with South Korea. And when South Korea gets involved and starts sending armed military to support the other side of the equation, it's just gonna become a little bit uncomfortable. So I think Korea doing whatever they do to whatever extent so far, it may be enough, and sending proper reinforcements and airplanes and whatever else may be a step too far. But it just this felt a bit pushy. Korea has the airplane, so what is it? That might turn. Ukrainian President Volodymyr Zelensky called on Korea to send key military assets that might turn the side in Ukraine. Why would he call on South Korea? Ben says, seriously, Koreans could send 1 billion cup ramyuns. Yeah. Yes. All in good faith, right? But I hope I don't come across as a jerk saying that, but it just feels like being here. I think it just feels a bit too much, I think, for Korea to be sending out military and supporting to such an extent, tanks and airplanes and whatever else. Let's not. What else is happening? Have you heard of the fires? The north was burning, and apparently it's still burning, man. It's been a long time. Strong winds escalate, wildfire firefighters mobilized. This is crazy. This has been months, and I don't even know if it's the same fire or not, but firefighters on Monday continued efforts to extinguish a wildfire that broke out in Yanggu, Gangwon, and spread north overnight. So no, it's a different fire, but man, there have been fires going on for months now. 1,384 firefighters and 27 helicopters were mobilized at 6 a.m. on Monday to extinguish a blaze that started in the Songchin area in Yanggu at around 3:40 p.m. on Sunday. Yeah, before that it was, I think, like closer to, it was more on the northeast coast. No, sorry, southeast coast. Gangwon though, I don't know where Yanggu is. Where is Yanggu? Let's have a check. Let's have a look quickly. Let's bring us the maps. And go! Maps, please. Watch on. Yeah, it's much closer to the North Korean border. It's right on the border here, I guess. Sokcho is right here. So the fires in the past, last month were like around Uljin, around this area. So it's almost like things are moving up north in that area. In any case, not good, man. It's a lot of wood being burnt down in South Korea, and it's not like it's a big country with a massive surplus of wood. By the way, just when was it, last week? There was Earth Day or something, or planted tree day. I hope you planted something, because we got a bunch of stuff to plant, and Lucy was going. My wife Jigyong was going nuts. We planted a bunch of strawberries in our kindergarten, and stuff. So yeah, I hope you planted something for the better of the country. Jeju's for-profit hospital wins legal victory. This is a bit disconcerting. Gangon Ogo Bulgugyang. No idea what that means. Let's pop it into translation. So here's how it goes. Korean to English for Google, and we pop and we get Goblin Gugyong. What does that mean? No idea. The goblins Gugyong are causing mischief, yeah? Yeah. This is okay. This is of concern, I think. So a local court ruled against the Jeju government's decision to prohibit a Chinese operator from treating domestic patients at its for-profit hospital on the southern tourist island, saying the ban was baseless. There are two things that are wrong with it, and I don't want to sound like a nationalist, because obviously I'm far from it. But the Chinese, we know how the Chinese multi-millionaires are taking over the world and inflating prices left and right. We've encountered that in Canada, in Australia, and in many other places. And I think the governments of any country have the right to prohibit this from happening, particularly because China most definitely will. There's no way that the Chinese government would let any goddamn country come in and start throwing money around left and right and inflating prices and doing whatever the heck they want, and certainly not winning legislative proceedings in the Chinese court of law, if there is such a thing. So the verdict by the Jeju District Court on Tuesday marks another win for Greenland Jeju Healthcare Town, a subsidiary of Shanghai-based real estate developer Greenland Group and operator of Greenland International Hospital in Sogwipo, Jeju Island. The Chinese operator has been at odds with the Jeju provincial government for years over plans to run Korea's first for-profit hospital. So as it further explains, all hospitals in Korea are run by non-profit corporations that reinvest profits back into the hospitals. A for-profit hospital, on the other hand, is investor-owned, meaning its main goal is to make money for its stakeholders. And if this is it, this is a massive property. So this is not like a little clinic, walk-in clinic, but it is rather a massive property. It does look kind of empty here. So I don't know what the reality is and what, but yeah. By law, the only places in Korea that can host for-profit hospitals are Jeju Island and free economic zones such as Incheon. But no foreign investors has established a for-profit hospital except for Greenland Jeju Healthcare Town due to fierce resistance from local civic groups who fear such hospitals will undermine the country's public healthcare system and inflate medical bills. Precisely. God forbid that Korea's wonderful medical care system goes to shits because of places like this. When all of a sudden all the hospitals decide that it might be a good idea to become for-profit, because why the heck not? If a foreign national decides to open up a for-profit hospital and they win battles in court, what's stopping us from doing the same? And let's admit it, man, I think the Korean healthcare system is much better, far superior to that of the Canadian one, which is supposed to be free. But let's admit it, it sucks balls. It's not free. You still have to pay massive amounts of money in taxes, and then you have to wait eons to get admitted into a specialist or get anything done. And English healthcare, Ben, it's the same thing actually. The reason why Jae-young and I, my wife and I, moved back to South Korea was because we were pregnant, and we decided that having an ultrasound done once every 3 months was simply not enough, or visits to doctors whenever, you know, they were prescribed once every month or 2 months only were allowed. Those were the only allowed times for us to go and see a doctor, were just simply not enough. And so we decided, screw it, we're coming back to Korea, where I could get a bloody ultrasound for myself if I wanted to, if I have the money. The doctors here might look askew and questionable at my decision to get an ultrasound, since I'm a man and I don't really get pregnant all that often. But I could do it. I could do it. All I need to do is pay for it, and the fees are not that exorbitant to prevent me from, you know, doing just that. Yeah, so yeah, I think that's kind of sucky. Ben is pumping out chat messages here. Clear, what is it? Sorry, bad spelling. Gangonogo bulgogyong means to watch the fire on the other side of the river and not get involved. Kind of like to sit on your own hands. Yeah, I totally agree. Canadians have to wait so long to see a doctor. Lisa, hey Lisa. Hey, welcome Lisa. Yeah. In Canada, you gotta wait. Like in Canada, you go to your family doctor, which you know it's a walk-in basically. Well, okay, not really a walk-in. If you walk in, you gotta sit. If you make an appointment, then you can walk in and then walk in. Otherwise, if you don't have an appointment, you walk in and you line up behind the people that are there. But so, you know, your family doctor looks at you, pokes at you, asks you a bunch of questions, may give you a prescription, and then if there's something serious, then they contact a specialist, which may take anywhere between 1 to 6 months. I've heard of cases where people wanted to see a skin doctor and it took like 4 to 6 months, man. So yeah, it's ridiculous. So yeah, I'll choose the Korean healthcare system over any other well-known, and I don't know, the one in the States, I guess is great, but from what I understand, if you don't have insurance, you're screwed, man. You're paying through your ears, and I've known people who lived there. My friend fell out of bed, smashed his head on a counter, had like, I don't know, 4 or 5 stitches, and 2 days in the hospital or something like that. Cost him like $6,000 or something. Male ultrasounds are definitely coming to the West soon, so long as you identify as pregnant. Yeah, man, there was a comedian just the other day, today I think, you know, he was saying that when he talks about gender, he refers to the 2 out of the several thousand that presently exist. Well, I guess I should say to see a specialist. Yeah, to see a specialist takes a very long time, Lisa. To see a house doctor, I guess it's a lot faster, but yeah. Anything more serious than a flu or a runny nose, then you're stuck. And I don't know, like some may think that it's good or a bad thing. It's a good or a bad thing, right? Because I mean, Koreans run to the doctor with the smallest sign of a cough or a runny nose, right? And you get the doctors, the house doctors have the, you know, the 3-button. Prescription A, prescription B, prescription C. One is without the antibiotics, one is with the antibiotics, one's got the cough, one doesn't have the cough, and they just go A, B, A, B. And so the visits to the house doctors here take no more than 5 minutes, and you're in and out like a treadmill. But you can do it if you want to, whereas in Canada, not so much. Not so bloody much. Alrighty, what else is happening here on the front, man? This is an interesting thingamajig here. Korea is still battling this whole kimchi being Korean, and some people referring to it as the, what is it, the Pao Kai Chinese derivative. Man, Koreans are so upset about this, so upset in fact that what is it, a professor, So Kyung-duk, a professor at Sunshin Women's University in Seoul, what is it, of cultural heritage activist, basically pointed out this company that's making these pancakes, kimchi pancakes, and they use the Chinese description, which apparently in Chinese here, right here underlined, describes the kimchi as pao kai, which is the whole deal of, you know, Korea being so upset about China trying to steal the heritage food of kimchi and calling it kao pai, or pao kai, I guess how it's said. People are saying that it's so China is saying that it's Chinese, kimchi is Chinese, that it's originated in China and it's called pao kai, and Korea is saying that it's not, you know. So Koreans are very upset about that, at the same time as the very apparently prestigious, I don't know prestigious, but a big deal, Pachinko. I was looking at this Pachinko. What is that? It's a drama. It's a drama apparently, let's see here, based in the New York Times bestseller. The sweeping saga chronicles the hopes and dreams of a Korean immigrant family across 4 generations as they leave their homeland in an indomitable quest to survive and thrive. And you might wonder what Pachinko means. I don't know if that's name of some character in the movie or whatever it is, but it's definitely the name of the entire series. But the thing you don't know is that Pachinko, this is Pachinko, okay? This is Pachinko. Pachinko is a... Open up, what you doing? What you doing? Pachinko is a game that is played in Japan, has been played in Japan. It's massive. People, it's basically like a gambling roulette. You throw in some money, collect balls. Can you see these little baskets? People collect these tiny little marble-sized balls, metal balls, and then they exchange them for money. And this is like, it's been a craze since 2004, prior to 2004. Gambling game Pachinko generates over 4 people making millions of dollars. But this is Pachinko, and this is Korea taking the name of the game and turning it into a very clear, epic movie, while at the same time lamenting another nation trying to steal the brand name of their beloved kimchi. The irony. Lisa, oh yeah, I guess I should say to the specialist, yes, they use ultrasound here for physiotherapy. Guys, get it, not only for pregnancy. Oh, well, I didn't know. So my claims for ultrasound are validated. Possible, anything's possible in the land of the morning calm. All you need to do is want it, and dreams can come true for any of you. All right, guys, good turnout today. I think we had a high peak of 7 people watching and listening. That is fantastic. Thank you all for listening. Make sure to smash up the likes if you haven't done so yet. Subscribe to the channel, of course. And, well, again, thanks for showing up. Good turn up after 2 weeks of absence. Next week, who knows what's gonna happen next week. We'll see what the news will bring, but make sure to come back next week. That's gonna be the 18th of April. Enjoy the rest of the very sunny days. Very nice week, and yeah, stay cool, I don't know, whatever. Have a good week. Have a fantastic week, and I'll see you next weekend. Next Monday, rather. Bye-bye.